And the last two steps are going to be step 6 and step 7. So we are going to plot points between and beyond each x-intercept and vertical asymptote, and then we're going to graph it. So I'm going to do these two steps together. So first, let's look at everything we have figured out so far to graph this. First, we found out that it is symmetric. It's odd, so it's symmetric about the origin. Then we found out that we have a y-intercept of 0, 0. So let's go ahead and let's put that on the graph right here, 0, 0. We found out that we have an x-intercept of 0, 0, which we already have on the graph right here, 0, 0. Then we found out that we have vertical asymptotes at x equals -2 and x equals +2. So let's go ahead and draw those. It's going to be dashed lines. That's my vertical asymptotes right there. Okay, the graph is not going to hit those. And then the last thing we figured out is the horizontal asymptote. Okay, we have a horizontal asymptote of y equals 0. So on my graph, that is right here. So they're going to ask us to plot some points between and beyond the x-intercepts and vertical asymptotes. And they're giving us the points to pick. Okay, they want to know what happens when x is -7, when x is -5, when x is -1, when x is +1, when x is 6, and when x is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here's 6 and here's 8. So they're telling us what to plug in. Okay, so here's our rational function, and they're giving us our x values up here, and we need to plug them in to find this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's plug in the first one. X is -7. So we're going to have 4 times x over x squared minus 4. I'm going to plug in a -7 here and a -7 here. So in my numerator, I have 4 times -7 is -28. In my denominator, I have -7 squared. Negative times negative is a positive. 49 minus 4. And so we're going to have -28 over 45. Okay, let me punch that in my calculator, see if it reduces. -28 ABC 45 equals, nope, it's -28 over 45. All right, let's plug in the next one. Let's plug in -5. So the f of -5 equals, we're going to have 4x over x squared minus 4. X is -5. So in my numerator, I have 4 times -5. What's that? -20. And in my denominator, I have -5 squared. Negative times negative is a positive 25 minus 4. So it's going to give me -20 over 21. All right, so that's my next answer. That goes right here. All right, next we're going to plug in a -1. All right, and this would be a good time to maybe pause the video and see if you can come up with the answers before I do. Okay, you've seen me do 2 of them. We need to find the f of -1. Why don't you go ahead and pause it and try it. So I'm going to plug in a -1 everywhere where I saw an x in my original function. So 4x and then x squared minus 4. I'm going to plug in a -1 for x in both cases. My numerator, 4 times -1, that's -4. My denominator is -1 squared. It's a -1 times a -1, that is a +1, minus 4. So I'm going to have -4 over -3. A negative over a negative is a positive, 4 over 3. Okay, that's going to go right here. All right, 3 more to go. I'm going to plug in a 1, a 6, and then an 8. Let's go ahead and plug in the 1. I want to find the f of 1. Maybe you want to try this. Pause it and try it before I do it. 4x over x squared minus 4. Instead of x, I'm going to plug in a 1. So my numerator will be 4 times 1 is 4. My denominator, 1 squared, is 1. 1 minus 4. And that's going to be a -3. So 4 over -3, okay, a positive over a negative is a negative. So -4/3. And that is going to go right here. Look what I did, I made a mistake. That should have been a positive, right? Yep, it should have. I'm going to fix it here. Alright, this one is -4/3. Alright, 2 more to go. I'm going to plug in a 6 and an 8. Let's find the f of 6. Go ahead and try it on your own. See if you get the same thing as me. 4x over x squared minus 4. Instead of x, I'm plugging in a 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Over 6 squared is 36. 36 minus 4. That gives me 24 over 36 minus 4 is 32. And this is going to reduce at least by a factor of 2. Let me put it in my calculator and see. 24 ABC 32 equals 3/4. Best $12 you can spend right there. So 3/4 is my answer right here. And we have one more. We're going to plug in 8 for x, and let's see what we get. The f of 8 equals 4x over x squared minus 4, okay, from my original. Now instead of x, I'm going to plug in 8 and 8. Everywhere I saw an x. 4 times 8 is 32 over 8 squared, 64, minus 4. So that gives me 32 as my numerator. 64 minus 4 is 60 as my denominator. And I know that's going to reduce at least by a factor of 2. Let me pull up my calculator again. Let's do 32 ABC 60, and I'm going to get 8 over 15. Okay, that's my last number. That one goes right here. 8 over 15. Now, let's take all these numbers, let's put them back into the graph. Now, before we put them into the graph, let me say this. Maybe you have an idea of what this is, or maybe you don't. If you divide it, 28 divided by 45, you're going to get 0.62222. So if I'm looking on the graph, this is negative 0.622. Okay, so a little more than negative 1/2, not quite as much as negative 1. All right, this one right here, 20 divided by 21, that's a negative 0.95, so close to negative 1, not quite past negative 1. We know 4/3 is 1 1/3. Negative 4/3 is negative 1 1/3. 3/4, 3/4, that's 75 cents, 0.75. And 8/15, it's kind of close to a half, right? 8 divided by 15 is 0.5333. Okay, so when we're going to plug these numbers in, you can use the decimals if it's going to help you find where those numbers are. All right, let's go back to our graph and let's put them in. First one to put in is negative 7 and negative 0.622. Okay, negative 7 and negative 0.622. I'm going to use purple. Negative 0.622. Well, here's negative 1. Here's negative 7. Here's negative 1. Negative 1/2. Negative. It's going to be about right here. Okay, so about right here. Negative 7, negative 0.622. Now we have negative 5 and negative 0.95. So negative 5, almost to negative 1. It's going to be about right here. Then we have negative 1 and 1 1/3. So negative 1, and we're going up to 1 1/3, about right here. Then we have 1 and negative 1 1/3. So 1, negative 1 1/3 is going to be about right there. Then we have 6 and 3/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3/4 is going to be about right here. And the last one is 8 and 8/15. 8 and 0.53. So 8 and 0.53, about right there. All right, now the more you do this, the more you start to get used to what the graphs look like and that they start to hug these asymptotes. So my graph over here on the left is going to look like this. My graph all the way on the right is going to look like this. And my graph in the middle is going to make like a backwards snake. I know it goes through 0, 0. It's going to look like this. Okay, now this is going to be multiple choice on the computer. So you can pretty much just go to multiple choice. You're going to rule some of them out by where the vertical asymptotes are. And you're looking for this. And that's it, 7 steps.